The man that met the legend himself, Pirate. Did you know that I worked at Blizzard for 7 years? Not that he ever brings this up, except like 5 times every single day. Software. But on a serious note, boys, let's be real for a moment. Do you think it's a coincidence the day that Jason left Blizzard? It was a horrible day, by the way. World of Warcraft just turned to shit. Also, on a side note, suddenly the breast milk stopped being stolen from the fridge. But that's probably a coincidence. That's definitely a coincidence.
What happens when you give someone with a massive ego a microphone and an audience? Not only does he have some of the worst takes the online gaming community has ever seen.
Oh shit, now this is actually really dumb. It's used car salesman garbage. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
He also seems deathly allergic to taking accountability.
He wants me to sit down, grovel on my knees and be like, I'm so sorry, Mr. Yamato. It was all my fault.
This all started just because he roached out in World of Warcraft, and he was unlucky enough to be in a party with Yamato. Probably the only person who would actually call him truly out on his behavior. Absolutely insanity.
Even Dr. K, a professional psychiatrist, failed to make him realize his own arrogance.
I don't know if I would trust an Indian.
I think sometimes the things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting, when in reality, I'm just trying to give context.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase. This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this. Yeah. That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Okay, I don't see it that way, but all right.
And the moment the internet saw his true colors, it was all downhill from there. Even then, the one thing he still...
To be fair, he still has an audience that is gonna bat for him for no matter what. Every time I do a video on pirate software, there's like a bunch of people saying, oh, why are you so interested in this? Why can't you just let it go? Who cares? His fans are truly insane individuals.
Had going for him was his technical prowess as an expert game developer and an elite hacker.
It was a lot. So after that, I ended up going to work.
Damn, that's one elite hacker for sure, boy.
Work for the United States Department of Energy because I'm a hacker, offensive security guy, and I hacked power plants for the federal government. And now then I quit, and now I make video games on.
Wait, what? That lie goes even harder. This is a lie. If you did not know.
On the internet, I've been doing this for a couple of years now.
Well, as it turns out, much of what he claimed might have either been a flat-out lie or, at best, an over-the-top exaggeration.
When Pirate Software told everyone that he worked on video games for 20 years, that he worked as a hacker, why did anyone believe him when this was what...
By the way, this is his game. This is insane.
He was putting out? Why did it take this long for people to call him out for being a fraud when this is his magnum opus that took him 8 years? 8 years of perfecting your craft for something a middle schooler could make. This isn't the work of a...
People made fun of him so hard for this. This is his unfinished, yet to be released game, okay? He actually coded this. People are saying that you could do this in Game Engine faster and better without any experience.
Professional, this isn't even the work of an amateur. It's pathetic.
Going through one of the most spectacular downfalls in YouTube history, Pirate Software. How everything is built over the years is unraveling right...
Do you think Pirate Software is ever gonna live it down? Obviously, his ego does not allow him to forget this or admit that he was wrong, but I mean, people are never gonna let this go because this is just non-stop entertainment. This is one of the funniest things that has happened. Unironically, Pirate Software is responsible for one of the funniest things on the internet ever.
Right in front of his eyes, and it's only getting worse with each passing day, since while being supremely arrogant is bad enough, Pirate Software might even get in legal trouble for defrauding his audience. Now, I've already made a video going over the major controversy that initiated his downfall, but if you haven't watched that video yet or need a refresher, here's a quick recap to get you up to speed. Pirate Software, aka Jason Thor Hall, is an ex-Blizzard employee who, after allegedly working for the US government as a hacker for a bit, decided to develop his own video game in 2017 called Heartbound.
That's giving him so much credit, okay? That's giving him so much undeserved credit. Okay? Like Pirate Software has stolen IT valor. It's insane.
He also started streaming his game progress on Twitch and uploading clips.
Also, the fact that he got exposed as a gay furry was probably one of the most hilarious things because no one batted an eye. No one batted an eye. Everyone knew that that's probably the deal. No one just had proof, and then one day he got exposed for that accidentally. And again, it's hilarious.
From those streams on YouTube Shorts. These shorts blew up big time, allowing him to gain millions of new subscribers on YouTube, over 80,000 paid subs on Twitch, and even break the Twitch hype train record for
the thing about this is, word on the street is that it's only because he just got randomly picked up by Night Media and all of this happened.
4 different times. But then 2025 rolled around, and Thor managed to destroy the goodwill the internet once had for him. First, by causing his friends to lose months of progress in a hardcore World of Warcraft game and refusing to take accountability.
Just wants me to sit down, grovel on my knees and be like, I'm so sorry, Mr. Yamato. It was all my fault, the mage.
And then by taking a stance against the Stop Killing Games initiative, which would stop game publishers from killing games people had already paid for.
Oh shit, now this is actually really dumb. It's used car salesman garbage. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
He misunderstood the whole movement on a fundamental level, and
you know what's the funniest part about this? Because that's exactly it. He fundamentally misunderstood everything he fucking read about the movement. And when people pointed out that he doesn't understand what this is about, he doubled down. He has doubled down like 5 or 6 times on Stop Killing Games. He just continues making up what they are about. He unironically has said, oh, they're gonna do this, and this is gonna be bad. And the movement explicitly says, this is not what we're gonna do. This, exactly this, is not what we're gonna do. And sometimes he claims these things while on the screen it literally says the opposite by Stop Killing Games themselves, and he just claims, oh yeah, this is what they're gonna do. It is insane. Like, the World of Warcraft stuff, honestly, is not even that horrible compared to the absolute insane levels of self-glorification that you can see in the Stop Killing Games part.
Then use some of the harshest language he's ever used to speak up against it.
That is a horrible goddamn direction. That's awful, dude. No, eat my entire ass. The level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. This shit sucks. That's a really stupid ass move. That's an incredibly stupid ass move. I think this is ass. This is complete garbage. All of this can eat shit then. I drop the mask entirely. I have no qualms about that. They can eat my entire ass. The whole thing.
His viewers were shocked at him blatantly rejecting something they thought was good. Thor, on the other hand, continued.
Again, it's not the fact that they thought it was something good. It's the fact that he completely misunderstood everything. Everything. People are making up conspiracy theories that he intentionally wanted to do this because he's a game developer and Stop Killing Games would make his job harder. It wouldn't. First of all, he's a fake game developer. We know that much from his unreleased shit title that he has. Second of all, I don't think he's smart enough. Everything that he talks about, a lot of things that he talks about are sounding kind of smart in some situations, right? But the moment he talks about something that you actually know stuff about, you're like, oh wow, this guy's just making shit up very hard. Yeah, he has no idea what he's actually talking about. Which, honestly, I think it makes complete sense considering he is a programmer. And programmers en masse have an extremely inflated ego. They are pretty much, in my honest opinion, right there next to artists. Two groups of people who think they are the most important people in the world and everything they do is made out of gold magically, and they're somehow smarter and better than everyone else because they are artists or programmers. And no programmers called him out. Like, people are now reviewing his codes, and all of that code is garbage. All of it is inefficient, poor and beginner level at best in most cases. And no one called him out for years about that. And now and now people who are actually good at coding are looking at it and being like, holy shit, this is so bad.
Posting more videos doubling down on his take. But then some of the biggest creators on the platform like Charlie, Jacksepticeye, and PewDiePie voiced their support for the initiative. This only made Thor look worse by comparison, making the whole internet, including his audience, turn against him. Now, Thor had a chance to
By the way, he's still losing followers to this day on average. It's insane.
retain some of the trust his viewers had in him, despite the overwhelming amount of backlash he was receiving. All he had to do was admit that he was wrong, but not only did he not do that, he stuck to his guns, regardless of how wrong he was. He was caught lying about his games getting review bombed because of the controversy.
Bro, we watched this. None of the games got review bombed. So, this is what Pirate Software does if you do not actually know. He will blatantly lie about things that, one, you would not expect people to lie about, two, that no one cares to actually check. For example, this. He lied about his games being reviewed, he lied about death threats, he lied about all of these things, because no one will ever check and he's never going to post any evidence of it. This is how he does things. He claimed that this, I don't know where, but somewhere here is review bombing. Because he thought that no one's ever gonna check.
Making him look even more pathetic than he already did. Now, at the end of my last video, I posed two possible futures for Thor. He could either admit that he was wrong and turn things around, or stay stubborn and turn into the...
There's no way he's admitting anything, and even if he admits anything, like, who cares? The guy's an absolute asshole. He's unlikable. I honestly completely don't understand what kind of people legitimately are still his audience. Like, what's wrong with those people? There's nothing to like about him. He's constantly arrogant. He's constantly an asshole. What exactly is there to like about him?
Perpetual locale of the internet, and from the looks of it, he's chosen the second option, which has not only earned him more hate, but has prompted people to take a deeper look into his life, starting with his reputation as a master coder, and what they found was shocking to say the least. It started when a YouTuber named Coding Jesus, whose main content is him dissecting people's code and pointing out issues, decided to review the code for Heartbound in a video titled, "I reviewed Pirate Software's code, oh boy." And as you might be able to judge from the title, he didn't really have any good things to say about it, with him
This, by the way, blew up so hard.
Even going as far as to declare Thor's code to be worse than most entry-level interns.
Imagine removing all these comments. Would you, as a newly added game developer to his game project, have any idea that one is Shelly? You would have no idea. This would never ever be allowed in a production repository. And like I've been hinting, it's below what you'd expect of a bottom tier intern.
Thor
But he was a coder at Blizzard. No, he wasn't. He was QA. We had a woman that worked with him previously literally explained that the guy was a Nepo baby. And by the way, Pirate Software is gonna fight that until the day that he dies, that he wasn't a Nepo baby. But he was. He was. Everyone knows and understands that. I mean, if I need to explain to you how Pirate Software, the child of the literal top 10 people who founded effectively Blizzard, is not a Nepo baby, maybe you are a Pirate Software viewer, I don't know.
However, didn't appreciate the constructive criticism and handled this review in the only way he knows how to.
It's just another, like, YouTube grifter trying to fight for relevance, dude. That's all that shit is.
Damn.
All too common these days.
However, there was something Thor said that was uncharacteristically reasonable for him, and actually made some sense.
It's just a bunch of disingenuous arguments put up in bad faith trying to make me look like a bad programmer. And in reality, this guy has never used the engine that I'm working in, never used the language that I'm working with, and all of his points are moot as a result.
I'm pretty sure Coding Jesus every time Thor said something stupid against him. And again, saying his name is Thor is kind of cringe, but it is what it is. Coding is saying that Coding Jesus is right, made Coding Jesus just respond to him multiple times and proving him wrong. All this guy does is just lie and say, oh no, you're wrong. Which is, by the way, the tactic that literally every big streamer uses currently. Like, what's currently happening in the big streaming bots? Well, it's Destiny, Hassan, H3, asmongold, just flinging shit on each other, and no one's even trying to prove anything at this point. They're all just... It's all just sad. And this guy kind of tried to do the same, but it did not work out for him even nearly as good as he expected.
From an objective point of view, his reasoning here for why Coding Jesus wasn't able to understand his coding style, because he's not a game developer, seemed sound. That was until another YouTuber, Quinn Theo, decided to get Coding Jesus on a call and dissect Thor's arguments together. They began by analyzing Thor's comments about Coding Jesus' very first critique, with Coding Jesus explaining how Thor doesn't use a very basic practice in his code that even school-level coders know how to use.
Manually setting all to 0 with 8 lines. Those were set to 0 because it was ending the alarms. By setting them to 0, you're actually setting the alarm to off.
So what he's doing here is a classic example of deflection. He pretends the chatter asked, why do you set the alarms to 0, instead of the question, which was, why don't you iterate over them in a for loop? A for loop is a very basic coding construct. If you're iterating through a consecutive set of numbers, you definitely want to use that. It's the perfect
I have no idea what any of this coding gibber jabber means, okay? I'm from finance, boys. I look at coders as slaves, and I will never look at them differently. It is what it is.
Scenario for a for loop.
While also pointing out how he deflects from the real question whenever he doesn't know the answer.
But he pretends that he didn't understand the question, and then tries to answer something else.
And in case you're not familiar with programming...
Okay, again. I don't think he pretended to not understand the question. I think Pirate Software is a retard. I'm gonna just say it flat out right. I think the guy's a moron.
A commenter summed up Thor's flawed approach perfectly, stating, he is literally doing the equivalent of writing 2 + 2 + 2 + 2 + 2 + 2 instead of writing 2 × 25. But that was just the tip of the iceberg, because while someone might argue that he simply misunderstood the criticism instead of purposefully deflecting it, that doesn't explain why he kept doing the same thing over and over again.
Sprite Spark is not a magic number. It's a direct reference to an asset file called Sprite Spark. This is how GameMaker allows you to link sprites and other assets. When you want to use a sprite, sound, or other object, you call it by name.
This is disingenuous at best and an obfuscation tactic at worst, because as you can see here, there's a lot of numbers here. It's very obvious when I'm talking about a magic number, I'm talking about things like 1, 0, 15, 270, 360. I'm not talking about what my mouse just happens to be highlighting, which is SPR Spark.
Almost as if it's a core part of the tactic he uses to sound more knowledgeable than he actually is.
He has this repeating theme where somebody gives him a question, and then he pivots to something that somebody didn't even ask or address to try to get out of that question.
Something that becomes abruptly
That does work, by the way, a lot.
clear when he does address criticism directly.
Oh, this is a clip where you can hear his actual real-life voice. Not the voice changer that he uses, because he went through second puberty, if you did not know. Yes, his explanation why his voice went from this to what you probably know it as is second fucking puberty. Second, yes.
And ends up being objectively wrong about everything he's saying.
Data types are not defined in GameMaker. You cannot define a Boolean. You can use 0, 1 or true, false at will. It doesn't do anything. None of this matters in this language.
The Boolean and the data types. Okay. So I'd like to interpret this in two ways, because what he could have been saying here when he says data types are not defined is that you can't create your own custom data types, which is indeed wrong. You can create structures in GameMaker. It's in the documentation. Search up structs and constructors. But maybe he wasn't referring to structs.
Potato.
Maybe he was referring to booleans, which also just isn't true.
What's worse is that he could have easily avoided looking like a fool. All he had to do was actually read about the programming language he claims to be an expert at.
He makes the claim that you can't define a boolean in GameMaker because GameMaker itself doesn't have a native boolean type in its scripting language. In other words, it interprets reals as booleans. Now, to reconcile the fact that he used a boolean in his code with what he said, I decided to do what any developer would do, and that is I consulted the documentation. So if you go to data types in GameMaker, oh, look at that. You are also provided with constants, true and false, which can always be used in your code to prevent any issues, should the native Boolean type be defined later.
This can either be interpreted as Thor being incredibly lazy or just simply not knowing Booleans exist in the language he's using. Either way, it calls into question every claim Thor has ever made about his coding skills to this point. As a comment on YouTube eloquently
Again, when people who understand coding look at his shit, they all instantaneously call him out. And Pirate Software went for years with this shit and no one called him out. Well, technically people did call him out, but he banned. He one of the things that he has done throughout the years is just ban anyone who questions him. You know, asmongold style. You question his validity or point, well, that's a ban because you're obviously being bad faith in asking questions. So, ban. And man, he did this for years, and he got away with it for so long. It's crazy, actually.
puts it, "Someone please take the shovel away from Pirate Software. This man won't stop digging a hole for himself." But what's most concerning is Thor's inability to take any kind of criticism, even when it's valid. He's set up a wall of denial in front of him and just disregards anyone that doesn't agree with him. That said, this next issue isn't something he can simply ignore, since he might even end up in court because of it. The bombshell dropped on July 5th, 2025, when a Twitter user by the name of Guy made a wild accusation against Thor, stating, "Pirate Software accidentally revealed his DMs with Kronos during the April 1st Twitch Giga Train, showing that they were boosting it to themselves. This..."
Oh, this. Yes. I covered this. We can... you know how stupid this situation is? I covered this, and I tried to be as generous and as much on the side of Pirate Software as possible. And he still... all he needed to do was say, oops, yeah, this was not how it was intended, but he instantaneously became defensive about it, and he made everyone hate him for this and think that he's lying because he instantaneously got super defensive. He just... He didn't explain it as a normal person, which would have been fine. He just instantaneously went super defensive.
Is why the stream is unavailable to watch. The Giga Train he's talking about here is actually the record-breaking Twitch hype train Thor was able to reach on April 1st, 2024. A hype train, for those who don't know, is a Twitch feature that gets activated when a streamer starts receiving a lot of donations or gifted subs in a very short span of time. It then continues leveling up if the donations keep coming in.
By the way, this is like the highest level of brain rot. Because this whole Twitch function is effectively... It's like a subathon that streamers do. It's the most blatantly autistic concept I have ever seen in my life. Okay, guys, I'm gonna do a subathon, and you're just gonna give me money now. That's a subathon. That's a subathon. And you're supposed to be happy and hyped that you get to give someone who's already a millionaire money for no reason. It is crazy. Why?
And the more a hype train progresses, the more rewards the donors unlock, including special emojis and gifts that they can use, incentivizing them to keep spending their money. As we mentioned earlier, Thor had already broken multiple hype train records before. However, all of them paled in comparison
Probably all fake, if we're being honest.
To the hype train on April 1st, 2024, as it managed to reach past level 105. This was a big milestone in Thor's career. It made headlines, and turned Thor into an even bigger name in the online gaming community. However, if what Guy was alleging on Twitter was true, it meant that this record wasn't as legitimate as it seemed, and the proof he presented was in the screenshot of the conversation Thor had with his head mod Kronos while his hype train was active. Right, let me know if you do. Bits is going to be the best way to do it due to the return if you need to save it. Bits rather than tier 3 subs. Tier 3 subs might be better, don't know. Bits is 82% return when you buy them in bulk. Have you bought any yet? I've done 100 tier 1 subs on my personal, ready to do 40 tier 3 subs on an alt. Can do bits instead or both. Did 50,000 bits at 20 seconds left. Okay, what is the alt account? Serendipitous Bean. Put simply, this seemed like Thor telling his own mod to donate from an alt account.
Yeah, and the way that Pirate Software handled this was the worst thing ever. He completely ignored the accusation once again. By the way, he has done this multiple times. He has like 2 videos where he addresses the allegations, and he addresses nothing that people actually care about. For example, Thor is also known as Maldivius Fig Tree, because Thor has a history of meeting people under the age of 18 when he was 23 for some odd reasons. No one knows why. I mean, make a guess, I guess. Doxing, threatening, being an asshole in general, and things like that. That's Maldivia's fig tree. And those are the accusations, right? There's a ton of them. And he does this video and he's like, so people are accusing me of hiding this persona Maldivia's fig tree. I'm not hiding anything, except he banned, by the way, people mentioning that name. If you would call him Maldivia's fig tree or question anything about that, you would get a ban on his channel instantaneously. So that's a lie. And he's like, oh, I never hid this. This was my second life persona. It's completely normal. And that's like, no one's asking that. That's not the thing that anyone is accusing. And he has done this multiple times. Every time he sets the record straight, as he himself calls it, he's just gonna lie and bring up things that no one asks about, that no one cares about. Like, oh, yeah, this is a second life persona. I never hid it. No one cares about that. Also, you actually did hide it. You ban anyone who mentions it. But no one even cares about that. It's the things that you did under that alias. Like, doxing a school, doxing people, DDoSing a school, and stealing from other people and lying and meeting underage people. And things like that. And he's just not going to address any of that. He's just going to address the username, and that's it. It's crazy. And here he did the exact same thing. He could have just said, oh yeah, that's normal. A mod can donate to extend the subtrain if he wants, and this is what this mod did, and he gave me a heads up. He could have said that, and I would not even bring any of that up. He could have just done something like, this is not admitting fault. This is just giving context to a situation. Instead, he completely lied. He completely ignores the fact that the mod is just using a completely fake name out of nowhere and giving Pirate Software the information, which is already fucking sus. So, things like that.
To artificially keep the hype train going, and even telling him to use bits since Twitch would only take an 18% cut from them. Now, it was still possible that some important missing context could give this conversation a completely different meaning. Unfortunately for Thor, someone uncovered the deleted Twitch VOD this screenshot was taken from, and Thor's reaction to it told his viewers everything they needed to know.
I wished I could place my head between them and go full burr mode and make...
What? What?
Oh.
What is this? Where is it? I'm gonna find this. I need to find your message. God damn it, click. Click, you garbage machine. What? Who are you? Why are you like this? Number 420. Deleted.
Not only does it prove that the screenshot is real, viewers could also see how panicked Thor became when he saw it, and how he immediately switched to a different chat before actually finding and deleting the text-to-speech donation that came in. Thor tried to deny any wrongdoing on Twitter, stating, Kronos used his own money to do this and asked if it was okay to do so. He wasn't paid for this or told to do it either. He's a grown man and can spend his money in whatever way he chooses. You can hate me all you like, but going after my staff is shit tier behavior. Even Kronos, his head moderator, came out with
This is actually not even the full thing. Also, Kronos replied to god damn it, I forgot his name, but the guy who's talking with Cody, Jesus, Quintio. And Kronos said, oh no, all of this is a lie. I can explain. And then Quintio was like, go on. Can we have a talk? No response. Just fell off the face of the world. All of these people are crooked.
Statements of his own denying the allegations, reading, said this before in January during the World of Warcraft drama. People contacted me and others about donating during the Hype Train record in 2024. This year, I did less from the main and I did some from an alt. Removal of the VOD was, if I recall correctly, to prevent people from harassing donators as before. And while these explanations from both Thor and Kronos were still a bit suspicious, they were enough to end the controversy before it got any worse. Or at least, that's likely what they thought would happen. But on July 20th, 2025, someone replied to Guy's original Twitter post with yet another screenshot, this one showing the exact messages attached to the donation Kronos made with his alt account, Serendipitous Bean. It reads,
Yeah, he faked not being Kronos.
real-life friend of Kronos and excited that they are now free from corporate. Love your stream and what you do for people here. There aren't many cool or supportive streamers left once they get big like this.
Yeah, and Pirate Software, as always. By the way, I think that this was already known before the statement. People already knew this before, because we already had the clip then. So, again, Pirate Software, when he did this response, he just chooses to not even talk about this. This was already a part of the conversation when he actually initially wrote this response right here. So, yeah, again, Pirate Software fakes everything like that. He just doesn't choose to talk about the things that he actually needs to address. And then he says, "Oh, I cleared it, guys. I'm right."
Cool, bud, and tell Kronos.
And this is probably not even going to go into his cheating scandals about cheating in games. But Pirate Software is a genius where he saw a puzzle that requires you to collaborate with other players of the game in like a Reddit or Discord setting to solve it. And Pirate Software looked at the puzzle for 5 seconds and was like, "Wait, would it be this?" And then he solves it, and no one even understands what he's doing because he's just looking up a guide. He solved a puzzle that can only be solved with the help of other people by coordinating through Reddit or Discord. Animalville, by the way. Bro. And he has so many moments like that he's doing nothing and suddenly he just goes and fucking solves it, not even ever going and doing anything. It's insane. Like, the guy's cheating so hard.
That Ben sends their regards. In other words, Kronos pretended to be his own friends, likely to avoid any suspicions from chat. However...
Oh, also, by the way, you know who Kronos is? Kronos is Pirate Software's moderator. Someone who studied law in Britain. I don't know if he finished, but he is legally unable to be a lawyer in Britain. But he is Pirate Software's unpaid lawyer to handle law in America, while not even being able to actually do law in Britain. That's this guy's history. Yes. And Pirate Software has falsely striked a Steam game because the developer of the game showed a clip where Pirate Software is in it. And he thought, "Oh my god, I'm in there," and he strikes it. And he's like, "Oh no, you showed a clip of me being in there. Of course I can strike you," which is, I think everyone who doesn't have more or less than 2 IQ understands that that's not how this works. And he's like, "Oh no, my lawyer Kronos, the guy from Britain who's now doing my law and lawsuits in fucking in the USA, said I can." And he's still, by the way, on the payroll. It's Pirate Software and everything surrounding is just the fakest, dumbest shit ever.
What made this truly weird was the fake reaction Thor had when this donation came in.
Serendipitous Bean with 50,000 bits said IRL friend of Kronos and excited that they are now free from corporate.
I know.
Love your stream and what you do for people.
I
here.
know.
There aren't
That's
many
telling.
cool or supportive streamers left once they get big like this. Stay cool, bud, and tell Kronos that Ben sends their regards.
I'm sorry you had to know Kronos in real life, just like me.
Now, it's possible Kronos just wanted to hide his own identity to not receive hate for donating so much. However, that just explains the pretending to be his own friend part. It does not explain the shameless glazing that followed. Even if we ignore the actual message and just focus on the donation, it's still highly problematic. Not only did it manipulate the viewers into donating more by keeping the hype train alive, as Legal Mindset put it in his video, it could even bring some serious consequences for Thor, starting from Twitch itself.
So Kronos is the main moderator. and excited that they are free from
No, it's actually not gonna do any of that, but you know, good enough.
corporate. Love your stream and what you do for the people here. There aren't many cooler supporter streamers left once they get big like this. Stay cool, bud, and tell Kronos that Ben sends their regards. So this person is clearly painting themselves as not Kronos, not the moderator, but a separate IRL friend of this moderator, which is extremely deceptive if you ask me.
Serendipitous Beam with 50,000 bits said IRL friend of Kronos and excited that they are now free from corporate. Love your stream and what you do for people here. There aren't many cool supportive streamers left once they get big like this. Stay cool, bud.
So all of this, like we can hope that Pirate gets thrown in jail or something like that, but that's not actually happening, and that's the whole saga. So this part is kind of completely useless. We're gonna skip over that because nothing ends up from it. Okay, the legalese are just like it's just clickbait, effectively.
Escape any direct repercussions, these controversies have only accelerated his downfall, with the number of people unsubscribing from his YouTube channel each month jumping from 100,000 plus when the
They're still doing it. They're still doing it, by the way. He's still losing like hundreds of subs, hundreds of followers, hundreds of everything every day on all platforms. It doesn't stop.
Stop Killing Games controversy happened to over 200,000 after these new controversies came to light. It truly seems like Thor's reputation has reached a point where even if he apologizes now or tries to take accountability, it's pretty unlikely that he'll ever.
And by the way, how bad is it? Asmongold tried to defend him multiple times to say, oh, he did nothing wrong, blah, 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 blah. Because they're both from Night Media. You know, don't listen to Asmongold when he says, oh, Night Media, yeah, they don't actually do anything for me. Did they do nothing? I just give them money for no reason every month. But they don't do anything, okay? Listen, it's fine. They're both from my Night Media. And Asmongold had to defend him like he had to defend Hassan in previous years. And I mean, no one cared. The Pirate Software situation's so bad, even Asmongold defending and saying that he's the best mage player in World of Warcraft of all time and he knows everything about the game while not even knowing basic mage spell names, did not go well.
Regain the audience he once had. But just when we thought he couldn't sink further, he somehow found a way. As I was making this video, Quintheo dropped another bombshell by interviewing Mr. Jason Thor Hall's ex-roommate, as well as the person who was in charge of his quality assurance work at
This is the Nepo baby stuff. By the way, this woman, in this video, she talks about after Jason moves out, talking about there being some strange white liquid calcified on the fucking walls. She didn't know, boys. Now she knows, probably. Now she knows. She probably touched Thor's bodily fluids. Let's just call it that, okay? She unknowingly did that, probably. And may most likely scraped it off the wall or something.
Blizzard.
Hi, my name's Cynthia Hall. I go by Ludiana online. I am a lifelong artisan.
Not related to him, by the way. But people at Blizzard thought that she's related and they put her with him. The retard.
Cosplayer. I worked for 5 years at Blizzard and then 8 years at Twitch. And I happen to work with Pirate Software at Blizzard as his wrangler on Diablo 3.
And what she had to say about Thor was shocking, but not all surprising at this point. According to Cynthia, Jason was straight up bad at his job. He would constantly slack off and browse Reddit all day, and even when he did work.
Yeah, effectively everyone knew whose kid this was. And no one did anything. They were afraid to ruin a relationship with his dad. And the ironic part is, by the way, it seems like the dad was completely okay with if people want to fire him, go fire him. But again, that's not how Nepo babies work. Even if the parent says, oh yeah, that's fine, you don't want to be the guy who fires his kid at the end of the day. That's going to ruin your relationships with probably the dad somehow anyway, because at the end of the day, it is his kid. And it's going to probably make it harder for your boss, who probably doesn't want you to cause shit for his dad, because, you know, they probably know each other. And again, you can't escape being a Nepo baby if your parents say, oh, treat him like everyone else. Treat him like... That doesn't work. That doesn't work in real life. As long as you are related to some big shot at the company, you're gonna be treated like an Eppo, baby. Everyone's gonna be afraid of interacting with you. Everyone's gonna be afraid of reprimanding you and all of those things. There is just no excuse for this. Anyway, that was the Internet Anarchist 10 out of 10. Bye!